let's just talk about Micah Parsons, who you know very well from his tape.
Yeah.
With the Packers, how he'll fit, and Kenny Clark, who's a pretty good football player, how he fits in with Dallas.
Well, Micah Parsons fits in anywhere because he's, arguably one of the, what would you say, maybe one of the four best pass rushers in the league. When you start naming those names, you think of the Garretts, the Watts, the Nick Boses. Who am I leaving out? I know I'm leaving out somebody,
but
you're
covering most of them good.
Yeah, but I mean, and he's younger than all those guys. He's 26, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he went to a team that predominantly plays a 4-man front. They're not a 5-man front defense. They're a 4-man front defense. And by the way, they had the highest percentage of stunting in the league last year on third down, which kind of plays to what Parsons is because he's a move-around guy. So now you move him around, you stunt. He's so flexible and explosive that he can be part of any stunt concept. It's a really good fit for Micah Parsons. I'm not going to get caught up in what Dallas could have gotten. That's who knows the answer to that. Maybe you guys have more of those conversations with people. I don't, so I'm not going to go there. But Kenny Clark, he's 30 years old. He's a good player. I think he's probably starting a slight decline. My sense was he wasn't quite as dominant a player this past year as he was in previous years when he was an overlooked great player. He's a good player. He's solid. I think in some ways this speaks to the fact that, and I'm surprised by this, but sometimes you get guys wrong or you don't know players, but I think this speaks to the fact that Mazi Smith has not become what they've hoped he would become.
100%.
Yep. That's somebody whose tape we all liked coming out of Michigan. Very surprising it hasn't developed yet.
Yep.
Sticking with the Packers their 4-man rush obviously now becomes Parsons, Rashawn Gary is part of that. Van Ness, who they drafted pretty high a couple of years ago.
By the way, I always thought would be better inside, and maybe that's a move they will make now that they have Micah Parsons.
Yeah, and who else would be? Is Devontae Wyatt part of it? Do they use?
Yes, and he came on last year, which is why I'm sure they thought that Clark was expendable because Devontae Wyatt started to play. He was a first-round pick, obviously out of Georgia. And it took him a little bit to get acclimated to the NFL game. His first year, he was a non-factor, but he's improved each and every year. And he has, I wouldn't call him a dominant inside pass rusher, but he has pass rush traits. And the other thing to keep in mind is Edgerrin Cooper, the linebacker, who's an explosive athlete. He was a big-time blitzer at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
He's a really good pass rusher. So I'm sure that Jeff Hafley now is going to be doing a lot of tinkering, and he has a lot of tools in the toolbox now.
Remember with Van Ness, he was drafted for the 34. Remember, it was the last year of Joe Barry, and then he switched from 34 to 43, and that he's just been a non-factor. So the hope is
I think ultimately he's a better. When I watched him coming out, and I actually had this conversation with Matt Bowen, who's obviously an Iowa guy, and Matt's really close with the program, and we both agreed. And Matt certainly is closer than I am, that he's really best suited to probably be an inside pass rusher, as opposed to an edge player.
Yep.
So, again, I don't know if that's their plan, but there's no question in pure pass situations, the edge players are going to be Micah Parsons and Rashawn Gary. It's not going to be Van Ness.
Right. Does the addition of Kenny Clark in your mind, Dallas has struggled in two areas, one being stopping the run, even before they get into their pass rush, Greg. Does Clark next to Odigizua improve them from an interior line?
Yeah, Clark's a solid pro. I mean, like I said, he may not be dominant. Odigizua is a nice player. He's a good athlete. He can rush the quarterback. That makes them solid. And we'll get into this more next week, obviously. Yep. But that makes them solid. In the interior. Kenny Clark's he's just a really good pro. I mean, he may not be the exact same player, but he's just a really good pro. And Odigizua is still a young player, and he's a good player.
Yeah, and obviously the Cowboys have used some high second-round picks on pass rushers, Marshawn.
And that's the next question. And can Nealon fill a role? Can the Boston College kid? I don't want to mispronounce it.
Ezraku, yeah,
Ezraku.
Williamstown, New Jersey.
Yeah, that's right. Obviously they would count on him, to maybe not play 60 snaps a game, but to be in a situation where we could rush the quarterback. Did they bring back Fowler?
Yes,
they did. It's Nealon, Eparaku.
You know, he's had
yeah.
There's a number of D linemen who, wherever they go, kind of play well. Maybe not superstars.
Mm-hmm.
Fowler sort of fits into that category. Like, you know, Mario Edwards fits into that category. Jihad Ward fits into that category. There are guys like that for whatever reason, they're with like a different team every year, but they play well. You know, so Fowler is certainly not, you know, a dominant edge player, but you can line him up on the edge and he can rush the quarterback.
Right. And of course, Sam Williams, another second rounder from a couple
got
of years
hurt.
back.
Yeah.
Very intriguing player coming out of college. I remember, and Adam, you'll remember this too. He had some character issues.
He did.
But he's got talent.